Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow, Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planner, president and founder of TJ Stearns Inc. Tim Stearns here with us. Tim, welcome back in.
Peter, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. We appreciate the time, the guidance of a CFP certified financial planner because, Tim, in this time, I think risk of the market and volatility is really on the minds of savers and investors. We're concerned with what we're seeing in the market cycles, in the news media each and every day with the coronavirus. Yep. Sort of winding down, but the election's still heating up. It seems anything could happen at any moment.
100%. And what I'm seeing is, we have clients that are they've been concerned way before the pandemic started about the election. And now we're seeing it ramp back up. To your point, I mean, the pandemic was horrific and it's still ongoing, I guess. But my point is that now they've taken their focus off of that. They've moved it back onto, this election that, no one knows who's going to win. And, we're not getting political. I'm just saying the market does not like, unpredictability.
Well, certainly, I think we're worried about what happens in the election and how that affects us. But I think we're more concerned, at least I am maybe, with how does it affect me personally and my financial situation. Yes, I think that the country will go on, right? Regardless of who wins here. And again, not getting political, but there's some expectations set, I think, in the minds of many of how things will go one way or the other. Sure. But universally, whichever side I've heard people speak on, they are expecting that this will be an impactful event on the economy, on the markets within 24 hours after the election, and then for a lasting period of time. So how do we balance this, Tim? How do we step back from, I guess, the emotion of the moment and maybe some fear and anxiety that we're feeling and say, now, how do I plan for that?
Well, I think you look at how much risk you have in your portfolio. And, we talk about risk all the time here, and a lot of people had some really cold water thrown on their face when the pandemic started, right? That was pretty scary. Well, now, like you said, within 24 hours, we might have this happening again, but now due to an election. So how much risk do you have? Have you done a risk analysis of your portfolio? That's what I'd be asking people. I think a lot of people don't have a clue how much risk they have. I'm back up to where I was. Well, in many ways, the government helped get us back, right?
That actually might mean we're taking on more risk than we were before, right, Tim?
100%. I mean, how much more does the government have in its tank to help prop up the markets, the economy, et cetera? That being said, I would take a look at the risks that I have in my portfolio. A lot of people use the rule of 100, which is, simply 100 minus your age is how much you should have in the stock market. So if I'm 70 years old, I should have 30% in the stock market and 70% in bonds. How did that work out in 2008? Or yet, how did it work out back in March? Remember how you felt then.
But it's a rule of thumb and kind of a starting point for a conversation that must get much more individualized after we have that sort of frame of reference, right?
Right. So, I mean, that's a starting point. But, we don't really use asset allocation. Again, we use income allocation. I had a lot of clients who have done the income allocation method with us, and they weren't worried. I wasn't getting panicky phone calls from people whatsoever.
Fear is a big motivator, right? I mean, again, we saw coronavirus to begin 2020. We have the election still to come. And I know a lot of people are concerned about this, but we have seen events occur before. The .com, Y2K, the year 2000 is going to be the end of the world and computers are going to crash and technology. 9/11, 2001, the mortgage-backed securities, the Great Recession, 2007, 2008, and yet presidential election cycles, that happens every 4 years. So whether it's a black swan event or the fact that 2020 is unlike any other year ever, we've experienced different things. Well, guess what? Next year is going to be about the same, right? Maybe not Corona or election, but there's going to be some events that drive the market, and we can't be fearful because fear leads to mistakes very often.
Well, so what I want to do is offer to people, if they want to give us a call, they can take us up on our offer to take a look at a risk analysis. A lot of people say, well, I already did that, when I signed up with my current advisor. Okay, how did you do in March? Well, I lost. Okay, so why don't we try to reinvent the wheel here and do something different? Because we've talked about this 100 times. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? To me, that's insane, because obviously if you already lost in 2008 and you lost a lot in March, what's going to happen if there's, events, to your point, in 2021? So if they give us a call now, number one, we'll get the book income allocation into them to the first 10 callers that have over $500,000 in assets. And secondly, we'd love to do an income allocation method for them so they can see the whole strategy. And then lastly, definitely I would look at how much risk I have in my portfolio. And, maybe I put those in reverse order, but I would start with risk.
Well, if you would like to take Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns up on the offer for that complimentary review, that retirement planning strategy session, for the book income allocation, for an income allocation plan, for a complimentary investment portfolio retirement account risk assessment, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, even though we as savers or investors realize that risk is a part of the conversation when it comes to our money and our forward financial progress, I don't think that most investors are able to just open up their statement and quantify the amount of risk that they are taking very accurately. It doesn't make it, in red print in bold type at the top of your statement that you're positioned so that you could lose 25% in the next downturn, that this upcoming election is going to make your portfolio swing 15 to 20%. It's not written there in bold. And so having that conversation with a certified financial planner could help us to make maybe more informed and well thought through decisions on how to position our assets, or if our investment accounts accurately reflect our goals and our comfort level with risk.
It's interesting. I just met with a person the other day in our office, and they're talking about how, if they stay to the course, their 401k statement tells them that they're going to have this much in income. And it's absolutely a projection. It's not guaranteed income. If the market goes down to what you're saying, that amount goes out the window. And it's really, to me, false advertising to show people that, because they, people who aren't in the know, if you will just go take that to the bank and go, well, these guys are saying that no matter what, I'm making up numbers here, but $2,000 a month that's going to come out to me from my 401k when I retire, that plus Social Security, plus my wife's Social Security, we're all set. We don't need to do much. Well, if the market does go south and there's volatility, we need to look at, principal protection, income protection, and that all comes through doing an income allocation plan. And again, I talk about this all the time. 95% of Americans don't have that.
Well, and fear being a motivating factor, Tim, it seems like we suddenly become cognizant of that. We realize that we don't like risk right at the wrong time. And in fact, so much so that 1987 Black Monday in Wall Street, the markets fell 20% in October of 1987. Still to today, 30 years later, October is CD renewal month because so many people were fearful when the markets tanked that they hopped out at what is essentially, in hindsight, exactly the wrong time. They took their money out of the market as it was going down and put their money into safer alternatives, what we know is available, CDs at that time. But still to today, in 2020, October is National CD Renewal Month because of that event in 1987. It astounds me.
Yeah. And in 1987, I was still in high school. So that's a long time ago. And not much has changed because people are still, skittish about the market. So, those are all things that we need to worry about. And, having a plan is huge. Not having a plan is having a plan, if that makes sense, because you're just kind of leaving yourself to wing it.
It's the plan that we have, right?
Right. And we've talked about this 100 times. We tell people, you have to plan out your retirement. People are living longer and longer. 30+ year retirements are a real thing. The average male, they say, is going to live to be 88. The average female, 85. And the average female is going to live to be 88. If I retire when I'm, 60, 62, that's a really long retirement. And that's a long time to not have a pension and only rely on Social Security and my 401k, because if I lose my 401k, I've got problems.
Well, again, if you would like a complimentary review, a holistic look at your complete plan on a complimentary, no cost, no obligation basis, that retirement review and strategy session is something that you can sit down and you can talk through with certified financial planner Tim Stearns. And in fact, it can begin with nothing more than just a 15-minute phone call. If you've got a financial question or concern, if the volatility of the market does have you at all worried about your accounts and your financial progress, pick up the phone and have a conversation with a qualified, experienced professional, a certified financial planner, somebody with that fiduciary responsibility to put your best interest first. Tim Stearns makes his time available. And if after a 15-minute phone call and some direct answers to your questions, it is warranted and merits a further dive into your personal situation and your investments, then Tim Stearns offers that on a complimentary, no cost, no obligation basis. Plus the book, Income Allocation. You can start with that. Some great educational information. This is the resource, the reference that is being used across the country as the manual for how to structure your assets for an income in retirement. Income Allocation is the name of the book. It's being used by advisors who are looking to themselves learn how and teach their clients how to structure that more stable, secure retirement with the assets that we have and the situation that we're in and the certain volatility that we will continue to face. If you'd like the book, Income Allocation, if you would like an income allocation plan designed for your specific unique situation, if you'd like to talk with a certified financial planner, Tim Stearns, here as our resource each and every week on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement, and he makes his time available to you. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. And in fact, online, another great resource, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com online. Tim, another thing that has a lot of people worried is the level of debt and deficit. And in fact, 2020, U.S. debt is set to exceed the size of our economy for the year for the first time since World War II. Kind of another ominous sign here. And again, we need to sort of balance all of these factors and decide how comfortable we are in taking individual risk. It's kind of hard in not laying the groundwork and understanding how these kind of risks can impact us.
Well, I think to that, I would talk about also that, taxes are most likely going to go up when this plan sunsets, in a couple of years. So, someone needs to pay for this deficit, right? And unfortunately, they'll probably kick the can down the street to the American people. Those are things that we talk to people about in income allocation. We have people come in here all the time and, I live off $100,000. Okay, is that gross number or is that a net number after taxes? I didn't do a budget yet. Well, let's do a budget. All of our paperwork is online. We can, it's fillable, so that people can kind of get after it. We're doing Zooms all the time. For my retirement classes, we're doing classrooms with Zooms, and it's been really effective tool to educate America, and people in the Chicagoland area.
Well, again, if you would like that complimentary review, if these are issues that you have questions or concerns about, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, I'd like to flash back because earlier you sort of alluded to a distinction and a difference in risk to principal or risk to our investment accounts versus risks to income or the protection for income that we would probably want and desire to be able to depend on into and throughout retirement. Can you further explain, kind of differentiate between the two, the investment approach and risk versus protection there versus the income approach, and what risk is appropriate there?
No problem. So you're basically talking about asset allocation, and literally on the book that we're talking about for income allocation, it does say asset and we cross it out because we don't use that. But let me explain asset allocation. Asset allocation, you're literally living on growth only. There's a lot of risk to that, secrets of returns risk. If you're doing bonds and that type of thing, interest rate risk, especially with bonds being so low. But those are, to me, if I was retiring based on asset allocation, to me, that's just kind of winging it. I wouldn't feel very comfortable. And I don't know if I could look my wife in the face and say, this is going to be good for us. Because if the market downturns, are we selling our house? Are we not being able to do nice things for our kids or grandkids? So that's asset allocation. It's failed 5 times in the last 20 years. I'm not about to take chances like that in my retirement. 1 out of 4 years it's failing. So income allocation is a little different because we're literally dealing with putting some money in a growth bucket. Maybe we have some stop losses in there so that people can't lose, or if they do lose, if the market downturns a lot, it's going to mitigate that by having a stop loss where it times out and the people went to cash like we did in March. And then also having some guaranteed income. What does that look like? Well, normally it's going to be an annuity. I mean, not all annuities are bad, and not one size fits all either. So we always make sure that nothing we do here is cookie cutter. When people come in, we make sure that they're getting the specific plan to what their specific needs are.
You're talking a little bit, Tim, it sounds like, about contingency plans. Like, we don't know the future. We don't know what risk we'll face. We don't know the outcome of this election or what 2021 and years after will bring. But here is the plan just in case. Here are the steps that we've taken to protect ourselves against that. And I can't believe that anybody would feel like that is a bad approach, given all the uncertainty and the craziness that we have faced and things that we never really could have predicted. But having that plan in place, that if this, then that, and having those scenarios in place to protect our own individual situation.
I will tell you, of all the people that we did an income allocation plan for, not one of them called when the pandemic was going on. Did we talk to them? Of course, we reached out to them. But I always ask them, when this stuff was going on, any prospects, in 2008, did your advisor or mutual fund reach out to you if you're a do-it-yourselfer? Well, no. Oh, well, you're just kind of going at this blindly, or that advisor didn't take the time to call you during a pandemic. We can communicate constantly. We try to send over 200 articles a year to our clients about whatever is going on, so that it's all fresh content, just like this radio show is. And I think we're just trying to educate people, because the more they're educated, the better they sleep at night.
Well, Tim, I also saw some studies about different products and different companies that during the pandemic, how consumers thought of them, and those that were proactive and stayed in touch and reassured their customers that they were still in business, that they were still available. had a much better public opinion of that company. And that's something that you have been here consistently. I mean, you've been on the radio now for going on 5 years or maybe even more. Don't know exactly how long. It seems like we've been doing this for a very long time, but you've been consistent every week, new information, new angles on things, talking about current events, never shying away from the tough conversations. And I think that that is reassuring to savers and investors that want that kind of resource, providing information available here on the radio, providing personal, individualized guidance in person through those reviews, those strategy sessions, either in person physically or through the ease and the convenience and safety of technology digitally, providing it online, tjstearns.com. If you'd like that personal individual review and evaluation, pick up the phone, ladies and gentlemen, give Tim Stearns a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And this has been a conversation, Tim, we've talked about risk. We've talked about it in kind of regards to these current events. We certainly are, ramping up into a time of high tension with a contentious election here. But to bring this all home, where the rubber really meets the road is that risk that we take financially is not just about money. It's about lifestyle. It is more than money. It is our confidence to lead the life that we would envision or that we would like for ourselves and for our family members and those that count and rely on us.
Well, it's been proven that if you have an income allocation plan or, you have a happier retirement, so whether we want to make the connection or not, when we take risk with our money, we're actually risking our lifestyle. And I think that makes people uneasy at night. I know I wouldn't be able to sleep, very well, knowing that I'm, might not have the money that I thought I was going to have. I'm 75 years old. Who is going to hire me? What am I doing next? What's my next trick up my sleeve? And by that point, the horses are out of the barn and there's not much I can do.
Well, Tim, a lot of your approach is educational as well, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to get this in before the end of the program here, but a lot of people think about their options as sort of the extreme ends of the pendulum. I can either go into the market and be exposed to a high level of risk, or I can go to the bank and have to be satisfied with a 0.01% interest rate and earn nothing on my money. In either of those, there are options, and it's a sliding scale, and there's a lot of area in the middle of different products and different strategies, whether it's dividend-paying stocks or fixed income or structured notes or annuities or even longer-term CDs compared to shorter ones, where there's area in the middle where we can really take a dollar and assign a precise amount of risk with it based on what our expectations for that dollar are.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's why you take risk out of the equation with a income allocation plan. We have, let's say, an annuity that we know the income's coming, so we don't have to tap into the fund that was performing poorly in March. And it's come back, thankfully, right? But at the end of the day, all along you knew your bills were going to get paid. Could you maybe not take that cruise that you wanted or that big trip this year because you dip into that other bucket? So be it. At least you could stay in your house, eat, pay your bills, pay utilities, and live comfortably, and know at night when you go to bed things are going to be fine the next day.
Well, Tim, there's all different types of risk out there. We are going to continue to be exposed to various forms of risk, in some cases unpredictable risks, but how your plan is structured determines how you are prepared to deal with and address those risks. And at TJ Stearns, Inc., you as a certified financial planner, believing in that income allocation model, you've got a different approach than most investors understand or are currently taking with their money on how to address and approach those risks.
100%. And we look at the fact that, don't be reactive, be proactive. So if you're a baby boomer out there and you're getting ready to retire, or you've been retired a couple of years, why don't you ascertain what you've got going on? Make sure that you understand what your risk is, how you're going to pay your bills if there's a downturn in the market, and we can help you with that. And again, I would ask people, do you have any non-correlated assets? Meaning if the market goes down, if you have stocks and bonds in 2008, they both went down, right? Do you have anything that's non-correlated? I'm not talking about cash. I'm saying something that will actually throw off some income. And, most people don't. And there's a lot of people who say nay to annuities, but I know for a fact that people that we've done business with, when they do have an annuity, they've done really well, and they've been very happy with, their performance there. And they'll take a, 5 to 8% return. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying this has been the average the last 20 something years. We have the ability to put them into a product that they'll sleep better at night, and let the other, if the chips fall down on the other side, again, that you've got things covered.
Well, your approach to how to deal with risks ultimately determine your outcome. We are not in control of many of the variables in the economic and financial and political world, but we can control how we personally address them, how we identify them and formulate that plan to reduce or eliminate their potential impact on us. And Tim Stearns is a certified financial planner. He can help you with this process, whether you've got $100,000 or $10 million. Tim Stearns can help better educate you, and you will come out the other side of that review and that strategy session better informed about your money, knowing some things that you didn't know before, and capable of making better decisions as a result. Pick up the phone and give Tim a call. He's happy to hear from you, talk with you. Starts with a 15-minute phone call. And from there, you can extend that on to that complimentary review and strategy session. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And he also has that book. It is the financial bestseller. It is the resource guide for how to structure a retirement plan to deal with today's volatile, unpredictable environment. Income Allocation is the name of the book. If you'd like that copy of that book to read and review on your own time, pick up the phone and give a call now, 800-640-2256. Tim, we always appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here, providing the guidance that you do.
Peter, thanks again for having me.
Again, if you'd like that book, if you'd like the complimentary review, if you'd like to have a discussion with a certified financial planner, pick up the phone, give a call now, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. We'll talk to you next time on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.